Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the next installment. We are now starting in the Old Testament, women of the Bible. Some of the women we talked about in the line of Jesus, so we're not going to cover some of those ladies. There is one or two that we will revisit. Some of the stories are very short and some are a little bit lengthy, which is to be expected anytime you're dealing with Old Testament, New Testament, anything in the Bible. So let's take a look at Old Testament. And first up, Hagar. Now, in the line of Jesus, we covered Sarah and Hagar. But we really didn't look at Hagar. We looked at Sarah, who at 90 years old had a child. Can't imagine. I'm already tired. And having a child at that age would be something. So let's visit Hagar for a few minutes and let's take a look and see what's going on here. The references for Hagar is Genesis 16, 1 through 16, Genesis 17, 5 to 19, and Genesis 21, 8 to 21, and Galatians 4, 21 to 31. And basically the title in all of this is The One Who Sees the God Who Sees. The one who sees God who sees. Think about that. Once you figure it out, let me know. So some thoughts to kind of start with here and to think about. And it's something you're going to hear time and time again, especially with the Old and the New Testament, but especially in the Old Testament. How strong is your faith with God? How strong is your faith? Because as you dig into Hagar and you look at all these women in the Old Testament, you're going to find their faith is strong, and it's stronger than you think. They are tested time and time again, over and over again. So being tested by God is not unusual. Okay? So how strong, and something to ask is how strong is Hagar's faith? Especially when she's faced with losing her son. Okay? Something else to think about is what are the rights of a bondswoman versus a free woman? Now, remember, a free woman is not really free in the Old Testament, but she has the rights that a bondswoman does not have. And you go, Tina, what do you mean by that? A bondswoman is basically a slave to her owner. She is the slave to the head female of the family. The free woman is usually the master's head wife. She can walk around camp. She can do whatever she wants to do, see whoever she wants to do. Whereas a bondswoman is just the opposite. She's not as free. She can't have the freedoms that the free woman has. She can't just do and say whatever she wants, because if she did, she would end up dead. She took care of the house, she took care of the wife, she took care of the family, made sure that the free woman is well taken care of. Now, as you're going through and you're thinking about all this and you're going, doesn't make sense. Think of it this way, of the old-timey slave and master. It's basically it. A bondsperson is someone that's paying off a debt or was sold into servitude. In the Old Testament, people had to earn God's favor through their own efforts. So God would say, I need you to do this. You either got God's favor or you didn't. Because you either did it or you didn't do it. But with Jesus, we have a new covenant, and it sets us free of our own efforts to receive God's favor. Basically, God sent us Christ. Christ gave us that path to God where we accept Christ, but in the Old Testament, they had to earn that right. They had to earn God's favor. When we allow the Holy Spirit to control our lives, we see the fruits of the Spirit in our lives. And you say, well, what are those fruits? Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So how do you know you are controlled by the flesh instead of the Spirit? How do you know? I get angry, worried, overwhelmed. I doubt everything. I blame everyone. And I'm always tempted by the wrong things. Food, clothing, money, all the wrong things. So thinking about all of this, let's take a small look at Hagar. And it's going to be a real quick look. She's one of those that she's there. Very important role in this. And a lot of people kind of wash over her a little bit. So let's take a look at this. Hagar is a bondswoman. Basically, she's an Egyptian slave to Sarah. She's given to Abraham by Sarah to produce an heir that's promised to Sarah by God. Thus, she's no longer a bondswoman. She's now considered a free woman because she's now married to Abraham. So she has a child. Now, while she's pregnant with that child, Something is said, something happens, she gets worried, she has doubts, so she runs away. Now, while she's in the no man's land, so to speak, she comes face to face with God. She has a heart-to-heart with God. And he redirects her back to Abraham and Sarah. So she goes back. She returns. Now, as the years are going by, her son Ishmael, it's about 14. He's about 14 at this time. Now, mind you, brothers and sisters, we're always picking on each other. We're always pushing each other around. I'm sorry, we do. And Isaac, who's about 2 years old at this time, roughly, is being picked on by his brother. Being picky. Pick. Okay? Picking on him. And Ishmael goes home. And of course, he really doesn't tell Mama what's going on. Isaac goes home, and Sarah just blows a gasket. Okay? She kind of has a fit. She runs to Abraham, tells him, now look, it's been 90 some odd years, finally had this kid, older brother's picking on him. We don't need the older brother, we have the promised child from God. Get rid of him. And in a way, it's breaking Abraham's heart, but it's not. He has a choice here. He could tell Sarah, woman, go sit down. Let the boys be boys. Or, Hagar, I'm sorry, it's done. Leave. Which option did he choose? According to the Bible, he told Hagar, bye. And it broke Hagar's heart. So she packed everything up, took everything that she owned, specifically her and her son, and for the second time, she walks away. Now, a lot of people, if you research and you read in the Bible, you will find that Ishmael's name means God hears. Okay, means God hears. So now here at the age of 14, Ishmael and his mother Hagar walks into the desert. Now, she has a dram of water, some food, and she has to walk across this desert with a boy and hope that they can survive this walk. It comes to pass that they have drunk all their water except for a little bit that's left. There's no food. There's no real shade. They keep walking. It comes to pass that she's on the verge of collapsing and the boy has collapsed. He's dying. He's dead. So what she does is, with her last rendering heart, she takes what little bit of water that she has, puts it on his lips just to moisten it. They come across a bush, puts him under the bush, kisses him one last time, knowing that he will not survive without food and water. She stands up, turns away, and walks away. She's crying because she knows she can't survive. And in her most desperate moment, God comes to her. And he gives her hope. He gives her shelter, food, and water, and says, "Woman, get your son. Just come on. Come on." She grabs him. They go into the shelter. God tells her that he will make a great nation out of Ishmael. They finally settle in the wilderness known as Paran. She lived, and her son provided her with no less than, ready? 12 grandkids. He got busy. Okay. So let's take a look here at a little bit at Genesis 16:2, where Sarah said unto Abraham, "Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her." And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah. Now, Abraham had choices he could have made. Right or wrong, he had choices to make. Were they good? Some were, some not so. Did he follow what should have been done? Maybe. But he listened to his wife and did what she asked of him and had a son with Hagar. Now, when you go back into Genesis and you're reading through this, and you're going through it, feel the heartbreak of Hagar. Understand the heartache and the pain. Those of us that have gone through something similar know pain, but we also know the grace of God and his all-power giving ways. And to kind of give you that example again, if you look at Genesis 21, 5 through 21, and you specifically start at verse 8, And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, Cast out this bondswoman and her son, for the son of this bondswoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous to Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, Let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondswoman. In all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. And also of the son of the bondswoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water, and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed, and wandered the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down over against him, and a good way off, as it was a bow shot. For she said, Let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him, and lifted her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad, for he is. Arise, lift up the lad, hold him in thy hand, for I will make him a great nation. And God opened her eyes, and she saw the well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water, and gave the lad a drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew, and he dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. If you're hurting and you need help, let us know. But please open your heart and hear God talking, for he can heal you. Blessed be. Next time, we will be looking at the wife and daughters of Lot. And that is in Genesis 19, 4 through 38. And it's mentioned briefly in Luke 30 and 32. Thank you. Have a blessed day.